It's InGame Live Prime Time, hour number one of our 2-hour extravaganza. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan for the next 2 glorious hours right here on the grid on a wild, wacky Wednesday. I'm all set to put my first bet in as we have the Washington Wizards winning. That's how wacky of a Wednesday it is. We got NBA, we got college basketball, we got hockey. We're going to have our 3-team, 3-league championship parlay that we're going to put together. Yeah, we're going to pay like nice 3, 4, 500 to 1. Who knows? Maybe even 1,500 to 1, depending on which teams Dave and I select. So what's going on, my partner? How are you on this glorious Wednesday night?
I'm good. I didn't see the double W parlay coming. Wild, wacky Wednesday. I mean, this is how you start the show with the alliteration every single day on Terrific Tuesday, Wild, Wacky Wednesday. Anyone that got a good W word that we can use to describe it, use it. Thank you for watching the show. I'm fired up. We're getting closer to the end of the week and March Madness and Selection Sunday, next Sunday. A lot of good college basketball games. The NBA card's a little, I don't know today. If we're going to find some different spots to maybe jump in and jump out. I can't wait for the Black Cloud play of the night. I don't know what you cured the Chicago Blackhawks yesterday. I can't even believe what happened with that. And short hockey card tonight, but I know we'll have a few things in store with that. I'm good, man. It's good. Everything's good.
Yeah. We got Nathan McKinnon back on home ice, so we got to update our 1 point per game and back on on the slate tonight. So we got to do that with Detroit in town for Colorado. Chicago scores 5 goals in 1 year. They haven't scored 5 goals in a month, let alone in one game. And we bet them heavily to not score the 3 goals, and then what happens? 5-2. Not only did they score, but they actually even won the dopey game. Snapped a 22-game win streak. Just disaster. Just a losing streak. Just a disaster yesterday with this Blackhawks team.
At least it was over early. It didn't even have to give you a sweat. The aggravation was done. You could go home on a train, relax, go to bed without checking the score. Arizona favored by a big number yesterday was really strange to me. Yeah. Tonight, that Avalanche game, that's a big number. The Red Wings are quality hockey team. I think there's a couple lines today. We got to, when we get to the hockey part of the show, the Ottawa Senators, do you see that number? That's why I wore the Ducks stuff, the Mighty Ducks, the Flying V, minus 196. Is that correct? That can't be right. But rumor on the street is that half the Ducks aren't playing. I don't know. I didn't get the call up to come take the line and take a shift on the fourth line, but I don't know, Scott. Come on.
Last night, the big favorite, the goofy favorite, Arizona didn't win, right? So now everyone's going to be betting on Anaheim as Ottawa's the goofy road favorite. You watch Ottawa win tonight, right? And the boys in Vegas will get both. They'll get all the people that reacted. All the guys that bet, wisely, or thinking that Arizona was the wise play last night, and then they're going to flip over to the underdog, and then the underdog's not going to win tonight, and that's how the boys in Vegas go 2-0 a lot more than we go 2-0. So.
Yeah, that could happen, but at the same time, I mean, this line steamed up from this morning, minus 150 to minus 192 right now. I don't know where it ends, but this is a situation where. As a book guy, I'm thinking the books are going to need the Ducks. I'll be all right, going in with the Ducks in this spot. So and that'll be something to keep an eye on. I think the over will probably end up being a good play. It's later, but, we're kind of working backwards here. What did you want to start with as far as NBA, like right now? Because there's games going on that, I mean, Washington is blowing out the Orlando Magic right now? What's happening in the NBA?
Yeah, it's locked now, at least on FanDuel anyway, but Washington up 11. I think it was 16 or so a moment ago, so Orlando's kind of cut into that lead a little bit. I did put in Orlando at Pick'em, minus 1.5 when they were down 11 before. I did see them as much as plus 6.5, so they're almost down 20 points on that one. But again, it's battle back, so that's where normally they didn't really anticipate betting Orlando versus Washington, but I would go there. We get the marquee matchup later on tonight, Milwaukee and Golden State. I was telling Joe Ranieri on Game Time Decisions. This is one of those spots, Dave, where, they lose by 52 Golden State last time out. I mean, you could be the worst team in the world, and you get embarrassed like that on national TV. You have to respond tonight, right? And then Steph Curry, 4 points. Maybe his worst game as a pro. 2 of 13 shooting, 0 of 8 from 3. They gave us a number at 27.5. I don't know how he doesn't respond to get at least 28 points. And maybe Golden State doesn't win, but kind of like that Cleveland-Boston thing, right? You bet against the Celtics, who won by 52. You bet on the team that they beat. And I'd like to know the record. Here's a test for your guy. See if he can find out the record of teams the game after they lose by 35 points or more. I bet you without knowing it's like 3-1, like a 75% win ratio. Or at least cover ratio.
Spread or straight up? What do you think?
Well, straight up, I would, both. I'll be greedy.
Because how many times?
But realistically, straight up. I want to know what their record is straight up, really.
If you have to do a query, how many times would the situation even come up where you lose a game by 35 points or more and you're favored like the Warriors are tonight?
That's true.
That's how. What is that scenario probably like? It's probably a very short list. That's why when I saw this number, I thought immediately Giannis isn't playing, right? He didn't play the last game.
Right.
And they won. The line steamed against them. I think the game's not until 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, so we have time. If anybody, watching the show knows for sure, or, the guys behind the scenes find out Giannis is playing or not playing, we'll probably see line movement in that. That game's probably an under. That's my first thought when I see it. But man, oh man, you're right. If you have any sort of whatever you're going to call it, I don't know if it's, just guts, spirit, pride, whatever it is, it's got to show tonight for Golden State.
Has to, right? Big-time college basketball game. We actually got 3 games involving ranked teams, but, one to me kind of stands out, and that's UConn and Marquette. I really think UConn tonight, I know I heard the guys saying that they're not playing for anything. I disagree. I think that they could wrap up a number 1 seed with a win tonight. I think they could lose in the first round of the Big East tournament, but if they win tonight against a top 10 team on the road, albeit without their best player playing, I think that solidifies them as a number 1 seed. If it's not done already, to tell you the truth.
It's so hard to handicap these games with a team as good as UConn is, with nothing perceived to play for, but they're playing to win a game every game, and they're playing for the number 1 overall seed. They want the easiest path. So, good game to keep an eye on. There's more coming up.
Yep. In-game live prime time, just underway here on the Grid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games, yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This
is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
the
Penn State
rule. Be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Bucks are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered everything since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time. Hour number 1 just getting underway. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan until 10 p.m. Eastern time, watching and, more importantly, betting on the world of sports. I had a pretty good night last night, so let's see if we can keep this thing rolling here, Dave. NBA, we got at the half finally. Washington, it was delayed there for a second or two, but Washington's up 12. You can get the Magic plus 3.5, and more importantly to me, plus 158 on the money line. If you like that, Memphis and Philadelphia squaring off, 2 teams. It's just like you and I could be suiting up for those 2 teams with all the injuries they have. And it really, the latest, the next one in line is Houston and the Clippers. Second quarter, 29-19, more low-scoring games. Hawks and Cleveland, 212.5. Clippers, Rockets, 213.5. Memphis and Philadelphia is actually a pretty high number at 229.5.
Yeah.
So anything else NBA-wise before we get into the games that haven't yet to start?
I mean, the Clippers, right? They have to come back. I mean, I don't know if they're going to win, but I saw that number, and the Clippers are the team I'm watching the most in the Western Conference of the top teams, because a lot of people that I respect, a lot of people that have really good opinions about NBA stuff are on the Clippers to win the West, even win the NBA championship. Something to consider later for the parlay that we're talking about. But I don't know if I see it, especially on the road. But, I mean, they've had a couple, meltdowns recently. That game the other night against the Bucks, big loss. They lost that game against LeBron and the Lakers in their own building as the home team that night. I don't know. They've been having leads going to the fourth and haven't been able to close. I think I'm looking to jump in on the Clippers. I got that game on, watching closely. Maybe take a shot and get them tonight against Houston, although Houston's been really good at home.
Yeah. They still got the Clippers laying 3.5 right now, even though they're down 6. Little surprised at that,
You don't want to make
early,
them. You don't want to make them the dog because I just told you I'm looking to wait to do it. I know what those guys are in the room doing. They're like, don't make the Clippers the dog yet, because we'll get an avalanche, a waterfall of money on the Clippers. Let's just wait. And keep it there. So, little game of chicken between us and the in-game numbers. So, just keep an eye on that the entire second quarter here. We'll be able to make a better decision soon.
How about college basketball? Number 1, Houston trailing against Central Florida, 37-31. You can grab the Cougars minus 1.5. 16, 17 minutes left, so you got basically the entire second half, plenty of time. Central Florida's okay, you know. They've showed some promise sometime, but this should be a game Houston should win, but they're not. So do we hop on board, or do we think, okay, it's going to be one of those nights because, you can't win all these games for Houston?
No, you cannot, but I feel like Houston's one of the most divisive, good basketball teams in the NCAA. You're either with them or you're against them. There's no maybe. No, I think Houston is one of the top 3 teams in the country, and they're going to win it, or betting against them until further notice. So I've been on the other side of the Houston steam. I've been against them multiple times. I watched them play, and I'm not overwhelmed. I mean, they are good in a one-game matchup, which it's a 6-game parlay in the NCAA. They're going to be a matchup nightmare for a couple teams. 8.5 was the closing number today at Central Florida.
Yeah.
Seemed like a bit much in a game that had 132 total, something like that.
Yep.
Not in a hurry to go jumping on Houston until we see a little bit of a run.
Yeah. Down 2. So now it's up to 3, but it's still only 3.5. So they've really come back to the pack as far as making them a big time favorite. They really, they realize, okay, that this is not going to be a double-digit win. That's for sure. I did like Seton Hall today at home, basically pick them. That game, Seton Hall was a slight favorite, and then I heard the guys say, on my train ride in that it actually flipped to Villanova being the favorite. Listen, I'll take the Hall at home, pick them against Villanova. I know they've played a lot better, have the Cats there, but still, and Seton Hall's winning by 8 now, 56-48, 3.5 minutes left. Laying 8.5. I don't think I'd lay 8.5 with 3.5 minutes left. That's a little goofy, but I did like Seton Hall earlier in the game, so pat myself on the back.
Game closed 135.5. Saw line movement at one point during the day. Both teams were favored. Either 1.5, 1.5. A couple places I just looked at my odds screen, closed pick. So a lot of disagreement in the market, which is the book. That's exactly what you want, especially around the pick'em number. You can just let it, book itself. It's a lot of fun. The Big East is going to be interesting. I really, I can't wait to see how many teams get in, because you get the feeling like obviously UConn's going to be top seed or one of the top 4 seeds. And these teams underneath, this is a game, I don't want to say it's an elimination game, but it's a big game for the future of both teams going forward into the Big East tournament, and let alone into the March Madness tournament.
How about Tennessee, South Carolina, another game involving ranked teams? I did like South Carolina in the game. They're down 6. They were getting 5.5, which I thought was a little high. The first big game Rick Barnes wins will be his first, or the next big one will be his first. They're leading by 7, which is why we can't choose them in our little parlay. They're laying 7.5 now. They're up supposedly by 6 with 12 minutes left to go in the game. Low scoring game. This South Carolina team, but they don't get a lot of credit or notoriety. But boy, you talk about slowing the ball down and playing good defense. They're nothing but unders. And now it's a 118.5. Wow. Boy, that's a small number with 12 minutes left in a game that is in that area where you're getting a lot of goofy fouling in the end. I might take a crack at the over. What are we at? 74?
Closed 142.5. In-game numbers down to 118.5. So way off. It might be a good time to go over that number, but I think if you go over, you're betting on South Carolina, or thinking they're going to keep it close coming back. 34 points, second half, 11 minutes left, and only have 34. I don't think we're going to get expecting a big scoring outburst from South Carolina. So this is a team, Tennessee,
I've
been disappointed in the past. This is a team that I think has everything to play for. Outside shot of getting a 1 seed, probably a 2 seed. Could win the whole thing. Worthy of discussion in the futures talk. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, they're not even close to 120. I mean, they're at 74, so you need 26 points to get to 100, and then you need 20 more. You need 46 points in 11 minutes. You barely got 46 points in 30 minutes. Never mind 11, right? You know what? We got to go under, right?
Yeah. Well,
even with silly fouling in the end, I think we got a big enough cushion.
It just moved to 115.5 here at my book, so. You better
really.
You better don't.
I got
if
it.
You're going to do it. You better do it quick because it's going down.
I got it in. It's going down.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the game like last night with Orlando and who they play, Detroit. You're going to get an opportunity to go over. You're going to get a 5, 6, 7 point middle because the scoring's not there.
Are you calling to win a game by a hook? Like yesterday, you nailed that game.
Ooh, that was
like,
great.
You showed off a little bit. You had to win it by a hook.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing worse than losing by the hook, and there's nothing better than winning by the hook. They should give you like a little bonus when you win by the hook.
Yeah. Yeah. You really feel like it's worth almost double. It's nice. It doesn't happen enough.
You really do.
But when it does, it feels good.
I know. You lose by the hook a hell of a lot more than you win by the hook. I'll tell you that. In-game live continues here on the Grid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, if you want to win these basketball games, yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like... This is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third...
They get in.
Third.
This is the Penn State rule.
They're always going to be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back. In-game live, prime time, right here on the grid. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan for the next hour and a half or so. We'll be joined by Brady Cannon. Do a little golf talk with him. But in the meantime, we'll continue to watch the NBA, NCAA, and obviously the NHL. And we got a little SGP time. Same game play here on the grid. All right, we're going to go to the NBA, the National Basketball Association. We got the Chicago Bulls and the Utah Jazz squaring off in a little while, so why not? I do like the Bulls. I won't lay the 4.5. Won't get too greedy. We got 4 legs here. We're going to go Bulls money line minus 168 at Chicago or at Utah. We're going to grab the under 223.5 just because all these games have gone under, so might as well pile on the under. Even though the game last night went way over that we used. Got to use over 24.5 points to DeMar DeRozan, and then we're going to go, as he figures to have a big night for the Bulls. He's their main guy, especially with Levine out. And then we're going to go over 11.5 rebounds at Nikola Vukovic for the Bulls as well. That's generally what he averages, 11.5. I think Utah's going to be throwing up some bricks, so... why not? Let's get 12 rebounds out of him, the points out of DeRozan, and nice little fat 7 and change parlay. Basically making the Bulls win, and that's the big thing. What do you think?
Well, I hope I'm wrong because I like Utah and I like over. So that's I looked at that and I was like, uh-oh. We might be in trouble here. I listen, I'm not right every night either, so this could be completely your night. That'd be fine. I'm good with it. I have no dog in the fight, but I like to see you win these same-game parlays. But, yeah, I like Utah. I can't believe the Bulls are favored on the road. I thought the game would be picked. So I think it goes over. I don't know. The DeRozan prop's good. That's going to win. And the other one, like you said, that's his average. Ideally, if there's an under, that makes sense. It's a little correlated, right? More missed shots, more rebound opportunities. Right. So put it all together, nice. That could win. That absolutely could win. I got to be honest. When I saw it, when Matty G sent it, I was like, I wouldn't have had you getting involved in the Chicago-Utah game. When I looked at the board.
Yeah. Well, I was going to use the Golden State game, but I had that as part of the Black Cloud. So I don't like to mix and match systems here. Otherwise, that would have been the one. Because I do like Golden State. In fact, when you think about it, I probably should have done it reverse, to tell you the truth. But the Jazz have been playing so bad. They lost 9 of 11. They did win their last game, but that was against Washington. In fact, their 2 wins have come against San Antonio and Washington, so those don't even count. So basically, they haven't won a game in about a month, so which is probably why Chicago, is the favorite, even in Utah, which Jazz usually play pretty well at home, but it's been a little bit of a struggle for them. No Markkanen tonight for Utah as well. He's not supposed to play anyway. So, yeah, why not? Bulls 6-5, their last 11.
See, that's why when you don't know the injury or the questionable or the maybe play, that makes sense why the line is now the Bulls favored on top if he don't play. But okay, listen, that's great. Yeah. I would have had you for the Milwaukee Golden State. You went with that with the Black Cloud. Sacramento and the Lakers. Interesting game. I thought you might have maybe found something to like or play in that one. Any strong opinion there before we move on to the rest of this other stuff?
Yeah, no, it's cool. I like Sacramento. It's kind of like one of those things where are the Lakers going to lose 3 straight to Sacramento? They've lost 2 already. If Sacramento's beat them 6 out of 7, including 3 straight in Los Angeles, believe it or not.
Yes.
So they're 6-1, 3-0 in LA. So 2-0 this year. So it all does point to Sacramento. And I like Sacramento, but are they going to really beat the Lakers 3 straight? Maybe. Yes. I do like them. I'd be on their side, but I just wasn't ready to put them in the same game parlay with all the other contraptions that you need to put together for these SGPs.
Fair enough. I like Sacramento as well. Yeah, me too. But I think I've turned on the Lakers. Like I like sometimes there's opportunities when either the number's really short or sometimes pick them when you can jump on the Lakers. But more than a bucket, I'm looking to fade them pretty much the rest of the season. I just don't listen. If they have nights like LeBron had that night, they beat you. That's fine. You catch them in spots like they did the other night when they had OKC on a back-to-back. OKC's legs got tired, second half, pulled away. That can happen. But 6 out of the last 7, Sacramento, 3 in a row in LA. I'm good with that. I'm good needing that side. So yeah, I'm with you with Sacramento.
Yeah. It's almost like we need to find a reason for the Lakers to win the games. Like, they play much better at home, and they do win some games. You know, they were dogs against OKC, but there's always got to be something, right? OKC back end of 2 games in 2 nights, or a team's got a monster game somewhere else, and they're flying in. You know, there's always something, like, goofy with the Lakers. And then that's when they seem to win their games. So they're a tough team to read. I don't know. You know, they had that nice little run last year in the playoffs. I don't know if they're capable of doing that again. Maybe. You know, they're a weird team. So, but I generally like to fade them also. You know, anytime I can.
I heard a soundbite.
It's like, okay.
I think it was AD said it. We don't care what spot we're in the playoffs. We don't.
Yeah.
We proved it last year. I mean, he came out and said the quiet part out loud, which is fine if you really believe that. I still think it's much better to play at least one series at home where you know, if it gets extended out, you're playing the important games on your home floor. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe times have changed. I think home court means a little bit more. And obviously when you do the numbers and you look at it, you weigh it a little bit more. But if the players are telling you it doesn't matter, maybe it doesn't matter as much.
It seems weird, right? Because the play-in games, they could be facing Golden State, Dallas, this Sacramento team, which they clearly shown no ability to beat. I mean, do they really want to face those teams in a best-of-3 series? I mean, I wouldn't think so. Or not best-of-3, really best-of-1.
The
Lakers were able to survive that last year. But right, exactly.
I don't think so. If you look at the futures odds, the Lakers keep dropping down the board. When you look at the futures odds for the Western Conference or for the NBA championship, I would have them below a lot of those teams. You know, it's still brand name and it's still LeBron, so some books have them up there. But I mean, I don't know. There's the NBA championship odds. They're not even in the top 10. They're not even in the top 10. What does that tell you?
Wow.
It tells you that they're just either not getting bets or the books don't believe that they're gonna actually even make a run. There was a lot of people that took a stab on them last year that were getting pretty excited when they got to the Western Conference Finals. But nah, I don't see it this year. I don't see that run in them.
I guess that little mid-season, whatever they were calling a championship for the Lakers, is not swaying you over, huh?
No, the mid-season tournament.
What a waste of time that was.
I got to give the NBA credit. They got the players to care. They got, they got a trip to Vegas for it. It was like a glorified travel ball tournament. They all came to Vegas, hung out. Everybody made $500,000. I heard the parties in the books and the clubs and the joint down on the strip was pretty good. It was pretty good after that. There's a lot of people that made a lot of money, friends of mine, which is great. That's great. Doesn't help you in June when you're playing for the NBA championship.
Amazing. We got 3 hockey games tonight. We got Buffalo and Toronto 1-1. Ooh, Buffalo tied up the Maple Leafs. Late second period. Over under 4.5. And then we got Detroit and Colorado starting in about an hour, and then Ottawa and Anaheim. So we got the one. And then Buffalo, Toronto. Buffalo's actually beat them 7 of their last 10 meetings. They the natural rivalry there, border war, if you will. And for whatever reason, Buffalo holds their own. They don't beat anybody else seemingly, but they do beat Toronto. So tied at 1. And in fact, they're only getting 126. Toronto's not that big of a favorite. Minus 162 late second period.
Fully expected more scoring in this. Kind of surprised it's only 1-1.
Yeah.
Over 4.5 is probably a good play. Final score of this game is probably 3-2. So both teams score again. We get to 2-2. In-game number over 4.5. I kind of like that. I got a book here that's still at 5.5. They won't move it. And I know why. Because it's probably a 3-2 final. Avalanche and Red Wings. Nathan McKinnon. That's your guy. Points. Every home game.
That's
yes.
the guy.
Surprised that it's this high? I'm kind of surprised that the Avalanche are this big of a favorite. No?
Colorado's a public team, and people still think Detroit stinks. So I could see where the number would be that high. Colorado's great at home. They don't lose at home. They have, if not the best home record, I wrote this down, then it's certainly one of the best home records in the NHL. 24-6. Yeah,
pretty
they
solid.
Don't lose. They don't lose at home. So,
all right. The Red Wings won the first time they played. You know that. They won 2-1.
That's even better. No Dylan Larkin either tonight. Out with a NHL famous lower body injury. So.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is a guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
Third,
this is the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Letting points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
For coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time right here on the grid. What do we got? 40 past the hour. Scott Wetzel and Dave Sharapan talking a little hockey. Yeah, we get they dropped the puck here in about 50 minutes or so. Detroit and the Colorado Avalanche. You got Buffalo and Toronto going on. Then you got Ottawa and Anaheim. So we're talking the Colorado game here because my boy Nathan McKinnon, 30 down and 11 to go, Dave, at the beginning of the second half of the season. FanDuel posted odds on Will McKinnon get a point, at least 1 point in every single Colorado home game. I think he needed, how many was it? I think it was like 17 or 18, I forget. But he's down to 11. All right, so we still got a bulk of games. They got a nice little 5 or 6 game homestand here coming up. They haven't had that many since the All-Star break. So FanDuel's actually offering that now. And they're giving you 8-1 odds. So our 17-1 odds that we had at the All-Star break looking pretty good there. So what do you think? Not that they're offering me a bailout, but I like 17-1 a lot more than I like 8-1 right now. I'll tell you that.
Not yet. You might get one with about 5 games to go. You know, if you have enough to take a nice Caribbean vacation or something, that if that's going to happen. But numbers got to keep coming down. All right. I was hoping. Well, hopefully at least you can get the cars fixed.
Yeah.
That's the main thing that happens when you win these bets. It's going to keep coming down. He's probably going to get a point tonight. Let's hope he doesn't need an empty netter, make you sweat. It's nice when he scores the first goal or assists on a goal in the first period and you can relax. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. This is a fun bet. It keeps me interested. Does it keep you interested with all the Avalanche games? That's a fun bet. Yeah,
absolutely. They really haven't had that many games. I'm going to look it up now. I think it's only been like 4 or 5 games at home since the All-Star break. I'm surprised they dropped that much from 17 to 1 to 8.
I think they had a 5-game roadie in between there. So that's good. Well, no, now they're settled up. They're getting ready for the trade deadline like everybody else. That's great.
So they've had there's the All-Star break, right? So then they had a 6-game road trip after that. They've had 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay, 5. I guess that's not too bad. They've had 5 games since the All-Star break at home. So we dropped it from 16 to 11. So we got Detroit tonight. Got Minnesota on Friday. Then they go on another 4-game road trip. Well, they got a lot of road games. Then they have that decent homestand. Columbus, Pittsburgh, Montreal, Rangers, Nashville. That's where it's – I'd like to be able to get through Detroit and Minnesota, get it down to 9, and then I'll start, like, really thinking I got a shot. Get into that 7, 8, 9 range. Then it's like, okay, now we go.
Are they one of the teams that makes a move at the trade deadline on Friday?
Well, how about Florida getting Vladimir Tarasenko today? That's a real good trade, right?
Nice
mean, he's not a superstar player, but he's a solid player. Only gave up a third and another conditional 3rd-round pick for the guy. Ottawa's paying half his salary. Not that it can be that much with only a couple of weeks left, right? But whatever. I would think Colorado, Colorado's only given up 2 goals their last 4 games, but 2 was against Chicago. So, but I would think they would need a little help on the defensive side, right? They got enough offense. Sometimes these teams just feel compelled to make some trades just because, like, all right, we got to make some trades. I don't know what Florida's going to do with another winger. They got 50 zillion guys that can score as it is. But on the surface, I thought that was a great trade.
Yeah, just give me a veteran. I mean, at this point in the season, you're just trying to lock up veterans in case guys get hurt, guys that have won before that can show them the way, that don't get nervous and, excited beyond the just stay within yourself and play the game. I don't know. That's what everybody's looking for at the trade deadline. I mean, most teams.
Yeah. Late trade deadline in the NHL. The teams are going to have the trade deadline not until next week, next Wednesday. Next Friday? Next Wednesday? Whatever it is. Yeah, Friday,
no, it's
right?
Friday. It's 2 days
from
from
now.
About,
Oh, this Friday. I'm thinking NFL free agency, right. But still, it's late into the season. By far the latest out of the 3 or 4 sports that have trade deadlines. So, and that was the talk on Coast to Coast today with Gabe Morency talking with Mike Carver today.
Yeah, the NHL trade deadline, it really is amazing how players just get super hyped up. Like, seriously, like, did anybody ever talk about Elias Lindholm all year ever?
No.
How many times you ever heard Elias Lindholm name? Right?
No.
The Vancouver Canucks got him a couple of weeks ago. People in Vancouver, genius move. Genius move. Add depth. Sweet player. Smart player. Yeah, here we are 17 days later, and, well, maybe they should trade him. He really isn't fitting in. It's not really working. Jake Gensel's the latest one. Dear God, I think Jake Gensel's Yari Curry, bro, right now. Jake Gensel, the latest. Every 10 minutes, I'm getting a Jake Gensel update right now. And, I posed that question. When was the last time? And as you stated, you win the Stanley Cup. You want to win the Stanley Cup. You can talk about all these deals. Your goalie has to play well. Okay. There you go. Right. Like, did the Vegas Golden Knights won last year because they grinded. They were a big team, but every goalie they had played well, right? They had the carousel. Everybody got hurt, but they all played well. Aiden Hill played well. Thompson played well. Brossoit, when he was in there, played. Like, they all played well. And I've always said that, Carver, you don't need a star goalie to win a Stanley Cup. You need a hot goalie. Sort of like a closer in baseball, bro. Like, people think about, like, you always hear this, well, if they got a goalie and stuff, right? It's not about, like, what goalie. There are no star goalies. How many star goalies are there in the NHL? There's a handful, right? There's a couple. And, Hellebuck's a star goalie. The Jets don't win. They have him, right? Like, the NHL, the trade deadline, but I'm fascinated about how overhyped everyone gets. But I got to tell you what, there's not a fan base in sport that gets more excited about, like, a third and a fourth liner and just these journeyman player deals than the NHL.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of what it says is true. They get all excited, but it's the nature of the beast. It's a trade. It's a new guy. And sometimes you enjoy that day more than you enjoy a guy that maybe was on IR for 3 months and you haven't seen him in forever. But there's something about it's a trade, that really kind of spurs fan bases on a little bit. So
I love it.
It's good for the league too.
As soon as I heard Morency talking about Jake Gensel, I said in my head, boy, they are making him out to be like Yari Curry. And then he said it in the clip. It was out. That was perfect. Yeah. Gabe's 100% right. It's one of those things that it doesn't really move the needle as far as odds, okay? But it can move the needle for a team if they get a piece of the puzzle that they need, or that guy becomes a piece of the puzzle that they didn't even know they needed. It just added something to it. I will never forget the first time this happened in Pittsburgh. Season ticket holder, lifelong Penguin fan, in 1990-91 season. They traded one of my favorite players, Zarley Zalapsky, defenseman, number 33. He could fly, and he was the point man on the power play. Him and John Cullen got traded to the Hartford Whalers for Ron Francis, Grant Jennings, and Ulf Samuelsson. And I was like kind of bummed out that my favorite player, Zarley, got traded. But I thought, we got a second line center to anchor that line behind Mario. We got a defenseman, Grant Jennings, who's a tall tree that is going to just annihilate people in front of the net. And we got Ulf Samuelsson, who just hit everything that moved. Exactly what the Penguins needed. That was the key to the first Stanley Cup. They fixed every spot that they needed. Now, is Gensel somebody's Yari Curry? I don't know. But the Penguins look like they're trading some pieces. And some city's going to be really excited to see Gensel. Maybe figure rate Gensel. Maybe we'll turn some centerman into, an assist guy and Gensel's a finisher. But I don't know. Gabe's right. You need a goalie. And there's no star goalies on the market right now. I mean, is somebody going to be excited to get Cam Talbot? I don't know.
Is there anybody you think that, like we brought this up on Football Full Circle today, me and Ben Stevens, if the Atlanta Falcons were to get Kirk Cousins, like it's rumored that's where he wants to go, and that's far from being done. That might drop their Super Bowl odds down. They're 40-1 now. Is there a team we should be betting on now that you think is going to go get some star player that's big enough where, all right, let's grab, pick a team at 40-1 because they're going to get this guy, and now the odds are going to go down to 20-1 because they got this guy. Is there that big a name out there on the market?
I'm out last night at that basketball game with some guys in the business in town, and we were with Adam Hill, who's the Raiders beat reporter. He says to me, Russell Wilson's coming to Vegas. I said, what? He says, right, it sounds like Russell Wilson's coming to Vegas. Now, that's going to not change their Super Bowl odds, okay? And just like Kirk Cousins, it's not going to change the Super Bowl odds for Atlanta. I mean, somebody might bet it, but I would want the bet. I don't think Kirk Cousins is the piece to make Atlanta go to the Super Bowl, but it'd affect their division odds. It might be worth an extra win, season win, something like that. So Russell Wilson being the biggest name out there and Denver making that decision that, bye-bye, we're going to eat all the money. Whatever we have to do, he got to go. So the buzz around town, they're talking Russell Wilson coming to the desert to cook. I don't know if I think that's a great move or not, but it's above my pay grade. I just know, would I move the number? No, I wouldn't. Not at all.
Yeah. He probably has one more go-round, right? His numbers, Russell Wilson, if you just look at the numbers and forget about the name, they weren't bad. The guy threw for 3,000 yards. Spectacular, no. He threw for 26 touchdowns. Great, no. Only 8 interceptions. He sat out the last 2 games. So he was on pace for about 3,500 yards, 30 touchdown passes, and less than 10 interceptions. I mean, on the surface, it's like, all right, that's pretty good. It's not great, but, but then when you watch Denver play, it's like, boy, I don't know. I don't know if he has anything left. It's kind of weird.
Has changed so much that those numbers aren't what they were when we were measuring them in those numbers, right? I think 4,000 yards is closer to the number now where it becomes impressive. Used to be 3,000. Guy threw for 3,000 yards. That was a big year. If he threw for 25 or more touchdowns, that was a really good year. Now it's like, they don't even run the ball in the end zone anymore. They're all touchdowns via the pass. So I don't know. The numbers, you watch the games. Just watch the games. There was something going on in that locker room. There was a lot of friction. Maybe he's got one more run left. Yeah, nobody wanted him there.
Well, they wanted him out. No two ways about it. Wow. I mean, you eat all that and you gave up all that. So, yeah. Interesting. I got to take a break here, but I will tell you, Orlando, they just, they were leading. Down 1 are the Magic, coming back against the Wizards, 87-86. Our first play of the day. May be a winner whenever they said and done. Back after this.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games, yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This is
the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
Third,
this is the Penn State rule.
Be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA, And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
InGame Live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. InGame Live, prime time. Wrapping up hour number 1 with the Black Cloud. How about that? Saving the best for the last of the first hour. All right, the Black Cloud in full force last night with the Blackhawks, who somehow or another decided they were score a bunch of goals when we had the under on them. So we're going to go back to another favorite system. When in doubt, go systems. And that is bet on any team that lose by 52 points in a nationally televised game. And that would be, believe it or not, the Golden State Warriors, who got smashed, annihilated, embarrassed, used, and abused, and trashed by 52. So there's no way in the world that veteran team with a whole lot of pride is not going to come out flying tonight. And I know they take on the Milwaukee Bucks, who had played a little bit better of late. I get that. And Giannis figures to play after not playing last time out. But you never know. Maybe his injury is actually serious. But it doesn't matter. I love Golden State. They're at home. Line's 2.5, 3.5. You saw 4, as I put it in this afternoon. There's just no way in the world. They might get Andrew Wiggins back. And I love the Steph Curry props as well. Look at our guy. Our guy's looking for that rain to come down. You know what? We are winning this bet. There you go. Looks like the Unabomber.
Yeah.
Golden State wins by double digits for sure.
Major storms for this one. I like this one too. I didn't like that one last night. I wasn't sure. I like Golden State tonight. So I had to get the glasses. I got the bucket hat in case we get a deluge. I really hope that we get off to a good start. Because if not, we might end up playing. We got late information. He's playing? This guy's playing?
Giannis is playing? Good. I'm actually happy.
I like
that
it
will
better.
just get Golden State a little more serious. They'll take the game more seriously. So, which clearly they did not against Boston, right? So go ahead, Giannis. Give it a try. Golden State by double digits.
smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is InGame Live PrimeTime, hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan for another full hour. We got college basketball. We got Tennessee and South Carolina coming down to the wire. All the wise guys, all the experts, they know it all, right? Simply a matter of does South Carolina get the, oh, by the way, bucket? Oh, they don't. Oh, jeez. Oh, the guy got a slam. It must have come a fraction. I mean, a fraction after the game went to double zeros, and Tennessee wins by 7, not 5. Oh, Dave, that's when a guy's sitting on 5.5 like I am, that is a killer. Why don't they go to review for that? They go to review for everything else.
They wave it off. Game's over. Let's go. Get in the locker room. Get it. No way. No checking. Nothing. Doesn't affect the game. We're good.
Wow.
That's all you got.
That's official. He must have had Tennessee. He must have had Tennessee. The back judge, he called it. Nope, no good. Yeah. Did that too quickly. They should have timed it out. Ugh. Wow. It's amazing, isn't it? All the experts.
We've seen this happen before. This is what happens. These numbers are getting sharper. This is March. It's going to fall on the number a lot. You're going to have a bucket here, a bucket there, a missed call, a turnover. Decide your whole fate. You're going to sweat these games for almost 2 hours, maybe a little bit more here and there, depending. And it's going to come down to a review of a dunk at the buzzer. Get used to it. I mean, this is March. This is what we signed up for. And that's what we're going to do. I mean, we just set the tone for the Black Club play of the night. I put the headband on. It's ready to go basketball time. This is good. Somehow you got the Bulls game involved, and you didn't. If you're going to do the show with me, you got to look at the Caruso props. I think that's a requirement. That worked last time. Now we got to go to this alternate deal. I mean, there's a lot of different things working here, right? This is good.
Yeah, got a lot of different parts. One of those, the alternate universe, which basically means we pick one game and then we kind of throw some goofy lines at you. So let's go a little AU, alternate universe. Yeah, AU. There you go. All right, so one of the beauties of these books, they give you different lines. Like Golden State's basically 2, 3.5 point favorite, depending on where and when you do your shopping, right? Maybe even 4, as it was this afternoon. But if you really think like I do, Golden State's going to win, you can lay 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, all the way up to 15, 20.5, whatever it is, and get odds in your favor. So that's hence the alternate universe. So let us do that with Golden State and the Milwaukee Bucks, Dave. I know where I'm going right away. I don't even have to see. I'm going to go Golden State wins by double digits. How much am I willing to lay?
What?
Yeah, I think they're going to come out flying. I think they're going to crush Milwaukee. I'm going to go. I'm going to go minus 12.5 plus 360. What? How about that? Not even 10 or 11. Yeah. This has got 125 to 107 written all over it. Give me the Warriors laying 12.5 for plus 360. I should be getting a hell of a lot more than plus 360. I got to tell you, that's a nice win. But
if you're going to lay 12.5 and only take 340, I'm sending a limo for you. But listen, these are the options we're given. That's fine. I'm going to look at the total. Okay, all the steam. Milwaukee's been an under team. All the NBA games, 78% clip since the All-Star game, going under. What are we looking at? You just said 125 to 107. That's 232. Well, let's look at that 233.5 as plus 150. I think we can get to 234 or more. So I want over 233.5 at plus 150. Might even think about over 235.5 there with that. Well, it's 236.5 at plus 196. So I like the way you're thinking. Look, we got a lot at stake. This is the Black Cloud play tonight. This is now Giannis is playing. Matty G told us, starting to see on my odds screen, the number is actually going up. So maybe on the right side of that total.
That's interesting.
Yeah. The total is going up. It might be. Let me click refresh. Let me double check it. I see a lot of twos. 2.5 and twos. Yeah. In the game. So, yep. Just because, what do you call Giannis, the Greek that's not Greek? What's his deal?
Greek freak is really not Greek. Yeah. He's not. He's not Greek. He grew up in Greece, but he's not Greek. Nigerian. Can't say Nigerian nightmare because we got, we already got that with Elijah on. So it's like you moving, and I try to explain this to people, and people are, what is that? He's Greek. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like you, Dave, moving to Spain, growing up in Spain. Does that make you Spanish? No. What's the same thing with Giannis? He grew up there. I get it, but that doesn't make you Greek.
Okay.
Greek.
All right.
You can be a Greek citizen, but
Yeah.
You grew up in Spain. Are you Spanish? I'm not.
No.
I wouldn't consider my Spanish, right?
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Greek freak is not really Greek.
Right? All right, that's fine.
When you
Hopefully
explain it to people, then it's like,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
They don't say you're right. They just say, yeah, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, they just go, this sounds like a Wetzel system
tonight.
play. Yeah, this sounds like a Wetzel system
I
play.
I will say this. I do like I like Steph over his 27.5. I tell you that with his points. After shooting 213, 0 of 8 from 3, right? He's got to have a big game. He has to have a big game. So Orlando by 1. I'm laying 1.5.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said Golden State's playing for their life every night. They don't want to be in one of these road situations for the play-in. They don't want to. They don't want to do that. If they're going to try to get into the round of the first round of the playoffs, the 8, they got to win as many games right now as possible. An out of conference home game against a team with a guy who's got maybe a bum Achilles, maybe not. They have to have a game tonight. So we'll see.
Yep. Can't afford to lose these. Listen, they're going to make the play in, but they're 2 wins out of being in the number 5 seed, and they're sitting in the number 10 seed. That's how close the Western Conference is. I mean, these guys. I don't know if these things will be taken seriously by the players, Dave. But the last couple of weeks of the NBA regular season and in hockey, but there will be meaningful basketball being played as far as seedings go, and whether it's going to be a play-in situation, right? I mean, I would think they would take it seriously then. So, all right, we'll go back to the scoreboard when we come back.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games, yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This
is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA.
And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time, right here on the grid. 12 past the hour. Scott Wetzel and Dave Sharapan. Let's take a look, Dave, at some college basketball. We got a bunch of good games just getting underway, including the UConn game, which is about halfway through the first half. UConn leading at 21-17. Number start the game, right, 5.5. Over-under 147.5. That's come down a couple of ticks. That was 151.5. I did like the under in the game, and I still like the under in the game. I don't think it's going to be a high-fly scoring game. So, Vandy, Kentucky is interesting. That's just tipping off here. The over-under, boy, Kentucky, Dave, is on a monster overrun. Yep. They're great anyway, obviously, but 36-16 over last 52 home games. 38-15, last 53 games overall, all going over. You got a Patsy and Vandy in town. It's a big number, right? 161. I mean, Kentucky's going to probably have to score literally close to, if not 100 points. But you know what? They've done that on the regularity this year. So I kind of like the over in this game.
I like their team total over more than I like the game over, but I would lean to the game over. You know, just to eliminate when it's a team that's a willing dance partner, you know, like the other night I think they played Alabama. The number was high.
Alabama,
and it flew over.
Right.
You know, because Alabama's trying to score and can score. I don't know how much Vanderbilt's going to score. I mean, when the spread, let's see, the spread closed 17.5. We got 2 touchdowns and a field goal we got to cover in the spread. So could end up being a blowout. Call the dogs off. Somehow the game stays under the total, but Kentucky scores enough to get over their team total. So like that. What about Minnesota at home against Indiana? Big Ten matchup. And you look at that. Minnesota is one of the best teams in the country at home.
Amazing.
This season. Short number. This one surprised me. Now, I know Minnesota doesn't score a lot, but the total's 150. I thought the game would be 3 possessions, right? -6. It's still -5, 5.5. Minnesota, like Gophers?
You gotta. You had. I was telling that to Ranieri. I mean, they are 21-4-1, Dave, against the spread last 26 home games. So it's not even just this year. 21-4-1. Minnesota, not Kentucky or Kansas or Duke, right, or North Carolina, even Gonzaga. They're the number 1 home team against the spread. And even overall, they're pretty good. 34, 16-1, their last 51 games overall. All this team does is cover. I mean, and they don't get any respect. I mean, Indiana stinks, right? I mean, you're only laying 5.5. So, to me, you got to play Minnesota, right?
I think so. I mean, you can't interest me in Indiana unless you tell me they're going to be leading at some point in the second half, and I got a shot. I don't think this is one of those ones where I look at and I don't understand why it's only what it is. Like if we're making a number, I'd look at this. It's got to be 6 minimum, and then go up from there. So maybe it's a matchup problem, maybe not. I don't know. There's a couple Mountain West games.
They did lose to Indiana last month. They lost to Indiana last month.
That's why I like them more. I like them more at home because they lost at Indiana. They're really good at home. This is on top of everything else, it's a revenge spot. What about the Mountain West games coming up? I mean, I'm in Mountain West country. I got all immersed in it last night at that UNLV game in San Diego State. Utah State at San Jose State. Gigantic number.
What's
but
the
not
number
as
on that
gigantic.
one? I didn't write that one down for some reason.
Okay. Utah State minus 10, 144.5, 145. Or Fresno State at New Mexico. New Mexico playing to get in. They're playing to get in the big dance, but they have to do well in the Mountain West tournament. They're laying 18, Scott. 18 right now.
I can't do that. I'll lay the 10.5 with Utah State. Here are the numbers on and the over is really, if you want to buy into trends, the over is the play. But Utah State as a favorite, as they are tonight, 19-9-2. Their last 30 games as a favorite. Pretty good, 19-9-2, right? San Jose State at home, 2-10-1 against the spread. Their last 13 games overall, including 1-5 at home. They stink. So over, how about these numbers? San Jose State, 10-2 over last 12 home games. 10-2 over. Utah State, 9-1 over last 10 road games.
There's your play.
Got to go over,
That's
right?
how you talk a little bit. Matty G needed convincing on the Golden State game on the Black Hole play tonight. How about that, Matty G? That you can tell even Jack if Jack's paying attention. There you go. There's a play for you. Keep you up late at night. 6:30 start. That's good. That's the 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. So we got a little bit of time. Weigh your options. Make a play. Yeah, the Golden State one. We convinced you already. Golden State's the play.
Yeah.
And 12.5 for the alternate universe.
Not that much time. Not that much.
We gotta get that one.
You got to put that over, right? Utah State, San Jose State.
Yeah.
You have to.
Put them together. A little
Indiana's
Bay Area
leading
special.
Minnesota 8-4 early on.
Bay Area special.
By the way.
You go against San Jose State and on Golden State. There you go. Perfect.
It's true. How about Iowa State laying 7.5 against BYU? Off to a 9-5 start. Numbers pretty much the same, 8.5. Iowa State lost to BYU earlier this year. They're nearly unbeatable at home. Only 6 losses all season. That was one of them. Lost by double digits. Didn't play well at all. Don't like laying 7.5, 8.5, but I think I'm going to do it. I think they win by double digits.
Such an under game. Oh, I get nervous about them under games when you're laying over 3 baskets. Like the 6 is the number where you go, okay, that's it. Like I don't want 7.5. Start to get nervous about that. I don't think it's time yet. Wow, UConn's expanding their lead, 35-24, 4 minutes to go in the first half at Marquette. So much for that. That one may be done. I don't think Marquette's one of those teams, good playing in front, not good coming back. I don't like that start for them. Are you going to be up late tonight with Cal State Northridge in Hawaii, by the way? Is that one something that, like,
I might be.
You remember what it was like checking those Hawaii scores back in the day, waiting for the scroll on the bottom of the screen, all that stuff?
Yeah.
And he couldn't blink because if you missed it, it was like 10 minutes till it came back.
Then you had to wait another half hour. Yeah.
Oh, the worst. The absolute worst. Yeah. They're 8-point favorites against Cal State Northridge. Come on. That's got to be the rainbow. That's Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's easy. Yeah. On the island, late.
At home.
That's the play. Yeah.
Rainbow Warriors. I think there are actually two names now. I think they're like officially Rainbow and Warriors. They kind of went woke, and then they went back, and then they kind of said, okay, we'll appease everybody. Yeah, I think they're both actually officially now. It used to be Rainbows. Or no, it used to be Warriors. Then they switched to Rainbows, and I think they're actually both now. Yeah, pick one. Pick your poison. So
I have no idea. What about this Ohio Valley Conference? Are you an expert in this? Eastern Illinois at SIU Edwardsville. I mean, what are we doing with that?
I went to SIU Carbondale.
What?
Not SIU Edwardsville.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the smaller of the two schools. So
I don't know.
No, I am not. How about Florida Atlantic? Leading North Texas by only 2 early second half, 49-47.
What's the
Florida
spread?
Atlantic team, they lost a couple of games down the stretch. They might not get in if they don't win their tournament, which would be a shame reaching the Final Four last year.
That was such a fun story. A lot of people on them. Big
I
numbers,
know.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, they got 7 losses. They lose tonight against North Texas, 8 losses. Then they lose the conference tournament game, 9 losses now. All right, let's talk some golf with Brady Camp coming up next.
Coming up next.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
Third,
this is the Penn State rule.
Be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Brooks are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
InGame Live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back. InGame Live, prime time, right here on the grid. 25 past the hour. Scott Wetzel and Dave Sharapan. We'll put the baskets aside for a second. Hockey as well. Let's find some winners with the Arnold Palmer Invitational starting tomorrow. Our good buddy, you hear and see him all the time right here on the grid, including now Saturday nights from 10 p.m. time, Mr. Brady Cannon. What's going on, Brady? How are you tonight, bud?
I'm great, Scott. Good to be with you and Dave once again. And yeah, the API, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, a signature event. Again, our fourth one of the year. The last one was 3 weeks ago, the Genesis Invitational. Now we have another signature event on the tour, which means we have all the top players here in attendance in the field. And I'm looking forward to it. This is typically, we've had all season long these long shots. It's been the year of the long shot. The shortest price winner was 2 weeks ago, Jake Knapp in Mexico. He's like 40 or 45 to 1. That's the shortest guy yet. I think we're going to get a shorter one this week. You've got Scheffler in the neighborhood of 7 to 1, Rory about 9 to 1, Victor Hovland, Ludwig Aubert. These guys can't lay in the neighborhood of 16, 18, 20 to 1. I think we're going to get a shot lower than 40 to 1 that wins it this week. And that's really what we've seen here at Bay Hill for many years. Tiger won this event 8 times. Rory's won it. He's finished top 10 a number of times. Scotty Scheffler, a couple of top 10s, including a victory. So, Kurt Kitayama out of UNLV, by the way, last year was an outlier at around 100 plus to 1. Most of the time, this tournament is a little bit chalky, and I think it'll go that way this year.
Boy, oh boy, I'm looking at stuff getting ready for your segment, and I'm looking at the Puerto Rican Open because it's also going on at the same time, is it not? This is what the golf snipers do. You talk about the one at Arnold Palmer, the Bay Hill, and all this other stuff, and I'm looking at these odds going, I don't know who any of these guys are. I can't wait for Brady to tell me one or two of them. This is perfect. That's great information. Thanks. Now I'll catch up here. Tell me why not Schauffele, because I seem to fall for the Schauffele every week, Brady. Please tell me, just stay away from him, please, right? Like it's not a factor. It's not going to win this, is he?
I don't think so. He just doesn't seem to win that often. And, to his credit, this week it is a smaller sized field. It is a no-cut event. You've got 69 players in the field, no cut. Oh, and that is what Xander Schauffele has typically won more often than not in his career. He typically wins those no-cut, shortened field type events. But, he came close a few weeks ago at the Genesis, just missed out to Willie Zalatoris and Hideki Matsuyama. He's just missed out at the Masters. I mean, he just seems to come up that much short so often, and it's very hard to back him. He comes up, when I put all the stats together, anytime he's in a tournament, he's always really high on the card. But right. I didn't land there, Dave, and I don't know the next time I will, to be honest with you. You start to lose confidence. It's like, any sport, football, basketball, if you're betting on the Steelers every week and they keep not covering, eventually you're going to give up.
Why'd you pick the Steelers when you just said that? You could have picked any other team possible, and you picked the Steelers. That wasn't even nice. I don't
it's
know
at
why
the front of my mind because I'm talking to you. I could have used the Browns. You probably would have liked that, but
that would have been better. That would have been better if you'd have said the Browns. But it's crazy because he's always in the top 5 or like top 7 in the odds every week. And you see it happen all the time where, and I didn't realize this was a no-cut event. This brings into play, I think, a lot of guys that you maybe wouldn't consider because everybody's getting 4 rounds. So somebody can post a 6. What's the low score on this course? Has somebody got a 65 or 64 in the back?
I would imagine. I would think so. It's a very difficult golf course, Bay Hill. It's 7,500 yards, just less than 7,500 yards, par 72. The late, great Arnold Palmer used to always tweak. He was always tweaking with his clubs. He's always tweaking with his golf course. And I think he's got about just a perfect product now. The greens are pretty big, relatively flat. The rough is very thick. The fairways are narrow. I mean, this is going to test some people for sure. The winning score proposition over at the Westgate, our friend Jeff Sherman put up 10.5 under par. I mean, that's pretty low by today's standards. So this thing's going to play pretty tough. And, you talk about the condensed field here, the limited size field. Everybody gets 4 rounds. Xander Schauffele, some of these bigger names, maybe the best bet for those guys this week, Dave. You're going to have to pay a little price, but maybe a top 20 finish. I played 6 outrights, and I played each of them for a top 20 finish. And it's not like they're all, plus 250 or anything like that. Victor Hovland was the most expensive at, I believe, about minus 150. I've seen as high as minus 175. But that's just a part of my routine. And, it should be, all things being equal, it should be easier for them to finish top 20 this week with only 69 players in the field. So I really don't mind paying the price. Again, that's just the way I like to set it up. If I believe in enough, if the stats and everything else says enough about a guy to win the tournament, then I think it's probably a pretty good bet for him to finish top 20 as well.
All right, I think we just saw your guys there, but just kind of give us a little synopsis on why you're going with those 6.
Well, I went with Victor Hovland. He finished last year on a tear, and he's been quiet, relatively quiet this year, but he showed some signs a few weeks ago at the Genesis in Los Angeles where he finished 19th. Bay Hill has a very strong course history connection. Augusta National, Bay Hill, Colonial Country Club. There's some courses that have a stronger connection than others where guys that play well there tend to play well there year after year. And Bay Hill is one of them. Hovland has finished 10th here and also 2nd. The correlated courses I used, other ball striker type courses. Victor Hovland, one of the best ball strikers, total drivers, long iron players in the world. I don't think the short game will be as important. This is going to be all about hitting the golf ball long and straight and flush this week. And that's right up Hovland's alley. Other courses where that is true, Phoenix, TPC Scottsdale, Houston, Memorial Park, Southern Hills, where they played the PGA in 2022, Oak Hill, where they played the PGA last year, Olympia Fields in Chicago, where they played the BMW a couple times as part of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Well, Hovland won at Olympia, finished 2nd at the PGA at Oak Hill last year, has finished 15th in Houston. Like I said, runner-up here at Bay Hill. I think this is a perfect venue for him to find his game. Not necessarily find his game, but find that gear he found at the end of last year. I got him at 17-1. Down to Sam Burns at 26. Doesn't quite fit the profile the same way Hovland does, but he's got incredible current form. He's finished top 10 4 weeks in a row, the last one being at the Genesis where he finished 10th. Also, I mentioned Phoenix being a correlated course. Burns, he just finished 3rd there along with 6th in his career. He's finished 7th twice in Houston. Then I went back to a guy that's very much similar to Victor Hovland, off the tee, long iron, and that's Cameron Young. Comes off a 4th place finish last week at the Cognizant. Finished 8th at the Phoenix. He was 3rd at Southern Hills at that PGA a couple years ago. This guy's really striping the ball off the tee right now. Maybe the best driver of the golf ball in the game recently. We give that title typically to Rory, but Cam Young is as hot as it gets right now with that driver in his hand. And then I went to Matthew Fitzpatrick at 32-1. Dave, I know you love ball strikers. Is there any better ball striker, on your resume than if you've won a U.S. Open? I mean, if you've won a U.S. Open, you're typically a ball striker. Matt Fitzpatrick, one of those guys. He's been incredible on the correlated courses. 14th and 9th here at Bay Hill, 15th and 10th in Phoenix, 10th and 13th at Congaree in South Carolina, 5th at Southern Hills for the PGA, 6th and a runner-up at Olympia Fields. So, Fitzpatrick just checks a lot of boxes here. And then finally, a couple longer shots at 32-1. I've seen him as low as 28. Is Tommy Fleetwood, another tremendous long iron player. He's finished top 10 here 3 times. One of the best guys in this field for playing difficult golf courses is Tommy Fleetwood. And then finally, my kind of, a flyer that I took on a long bomb here. I've seen him as high as 70-1. I got 55 on Keegan Bradley, who, his whole career has been ball striking, total driving, and long iron play. That's who he's been. And actually his putting has improved in the last couple of years. So he's finished top 10 here 4 times. runner-up. So that's a six-pack of guys I went with for you there at Bay Hill this week for Arnie's Army and the API.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Now, I'm scrolling the odds while you're talking, and you got me interested in Fitzpatrick, and I may have to come out of retirement like I did a couple weeks ago for that tournament in L.A. that got so close because I had it surrounded with Zalatoris and the other guy, and Matsuyama kept coming. I got on him late. That was a great 25-1. I didn't see it. I didn't see that happening, but I saw it late. Give us somebody with a big number. Like, I'm scrolling down, and there's a lot of big numbers, like 100 to 1, 125 to 1. Give the people a little taste of somebody that just might be around come the weekend, because I love those tickets where we're 75 to 1, 100 to 1, and we're hanging around. Anybody on the list?
Well, one guy, I mean, he's probably in the you might be able to find anywhere from about 50 to 70.
Okay,
and that's Jake Knapp, who just won a couple weeks ago in Mexico. A lot of people are fired up about this young kid. He is one heck of a ball striker. So maybe Jake Knapp goes 2 out of the last 3. We'll see.
Ball striker.
Brady, great job, my friend. Catch him Saturday nights, 10 to midnight Eastern, right here on the grid with all your winners. Thanks, Brady.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games, yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This is
the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
InGame Live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back. In-game live, prime time, right here on the grid. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan. Thanks again to Brady Cannon for joining us, giving him his golf picks there. So let's have a little fun here, Dave. Before we get to, we're going to start a 3-league, 3-team parlay. But before we do that, let's just check the live board one more time here, and just see if anything pops up. As far as baskets go, the hockey, we still got 1-1 with Toronto and Buffalo. The Colorado game, actually, no, it's off the board. Does that just end? Maybe someone scored. But anything else basket-wise, in-game live that you want to pass along before we get to our parlay picks?
Toronto won 2-1 in overtime, so they get by. The chalk parlay lives another hour at least until the Avalanche get going, and then the Ducks tonight. Yeah. So, no, I was so immersed in the golf, trying to make sure that I kept up with Brady's one of my favorite ball strikers. So when he starts talking golf, I kind of nerd out. And I was looking at the Puerto Rican Open in full disclosure. And I'm like, because how do you run two things at the same time?
How do you know?
This used to confuse me in the book. I got our golf odds makers are used to driving me crazy. They say that why they do this, but it's like a 69-person tournament, no cut. Arnold Palmer, that's great. The Rockets are barely hanging on against the Clippers. We said it before. That. Yeah, right. This is the Clippers are going to skate by and win this game, right? Like this is what good teams do. They win games like this where I don't think they've been leading for 1 minute of the game, and they're going to come back and win. 6 minutes to go, probably a good time to bet the Clippers. And then your Bulls are off to a good start, so that's good.
I see that.
Cavs aren't going to beat. They're not going to beat the Hawks, I don't think. Although the Cavs pulled off a miracle win last night. UConn blowing out Marquette at halftime. Florida Atlantic in a battle. Time to bet Florida Atlantic. Battle-tested team.
Up 3. UConn by 11. You're right.
Yeah.
Right? All right. 42-31. Lower scoring game, but it's still 153.5. But I'm okay with sitting on the under with that.
Do you have to click refresh on Kentucky? I mean, before we get to this championship parlay, there's a lot of people been telling me Kentucky, they're losing to Vanderbilt?
Yeah. Vandy. Stinking Vandy. Yeah. Jerry Stackhouse going into Kentucky, pulling off maybe the other. This is why you just can't trust this Kentucky team. They look like world beaters, and then they lay eggs. That's what still laying 11.5, but that's a far cry from the 17.5. All right.
What's the in-game total though? We talked about that total being good. It's up to 161.5 here in my book. That's
I see 160.5. So
right, yeah,
pretty much, yeah. And you have the team that's losing, and you got Kentucky or tennis or Vandy, hanging tough there. So you're getting the points out of Vandy.
That's good.
So you got to believe Kentucky's going to turn it on somewhere. So that's pretty good.
It's coming. Yeah, the in-game numbers. Yeah. What 11.5? I guess that's better than 17. But my goodness, that's a lot of points still.
Yeah.
All right. What did you come up
game,
with
though.
Here? What are you working on? You've been working on this. You sent me the text. I've been thinking about this all day. Going, what's Wetzel coming with me tonight? Let's go.
All right, so we got to pick 3 teams that could win the college. We'll start with college basketball since we're doing that. Okay. And then we're going to put 3 teams that could win the NBA championship, and then 3 teams that could win the NHL championship, Stanley Cup, obviously. Okay. So we're going 3 for 3. It's hard enough picking one, I know, but you know what? That's okay. We could do it. If anybody can, it's the S&W Corporation that can do it,
right?
Like
that.
So
That's
we're bringing that back out of the closet.
We had some success during football, so yes, this is definitely a possibility. Yes.
All right. So give me 3. You want to put UConn in there? They're the small choice. They're the chalk at +5 to 1. Now the one good thing about this is you can use chalk at all 3, and it's still going to be like 300 to 1. So you don't really have to worry about odds. It's going to be a monster payout. So.
Yeah. All right, so we need odds to win the championship. Okay.
Right.
Let's take one in that moderate range. Let's take one in the middle range, and let's take one of those ones towards the bottom. I think.
Okay.
I think is something going on with Purdue. Is something? I mean, that was a big win last night against Illinois. I think I might want to use Purdue after losing in the first round last year, and then getting like that happened to Virginia. There may be some vibes they're working with Purdue. I normally wouldn't say yes, but I think Purdue
they
could be
always
one
find
option.
a way to lose. They always find a way to lose. You know?
But you asked me. All
right.
right, that's fine.
All right.
Here's my 3 teams. All right, you can critique them, use them, scratch them off, put a line through it, or circle them and use them. It don't matter. I'm going to say Purdue. I'm going to say Arizona because the Final Four is down in Glendale, and Arizona would pack that building, and they're in the Pac-12. I think they're going to win the Pac-12 tournament. They might have a nice ride getting them there. It's a business. It's a TV show, Arizona. And then, listen, I was just in the Dean Dome. I wore the Carolina stuff and got on TV yesterday in Vegas. I got all the gear. I got all the gear at the Carolina team store. They love me. They watch the show now, this show, and my other show, Bostonian versus Book, because I bought half the store. I got to go with Carolina. That price is tremendous. 23-1. Those are my 3 teams. Who are yours?
All right. I'm going to I like Arizona.
Okay.
And I didn't even think about the national championship thing, so I do like that. You want to give me Carolina 23-1, right? That's not the worst thing in the world. I'm going to throw out Purdue, and I'm going to put Connecticut in there. Next week, we're going to have we'll do this one this week. Next week, we're going to have they never win 3-team parlay.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm going to save Purdue for next week's these teams never win because maybe lightning will strike. Toronto Maple Leafs in hockey, right? Oh, they never win. They lose every single year. Like Gonzaga college basketball, they never win. They lose every single. We'll have one of those next week. We'll have one of these every single day of the week until we get to the tournament.
Excellent.
So, all right, so let's go. Connecticut 5-1, Arizona 12-1. I like that, and North Carolina perfect 23-1. All right, let's now go to the NHL.
Stanley Cup.
Next up on the board.
Okay.
We got 3.
That's easy for me. I looked at that board right there. You know, Matty brings that up. There's perfect. Okay. I'm in with Florida. Lost in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. We needed chalk near the top. Florida can get out of the East, get us to the Stanley Cup Final. We'll be talking about, options, things like that. That's number 1. I think I'm going to go with another Eastern Conference team because I think the West is all over the place. I don't know. But who do I know? Carolina. I think Carolina can get there. Again, Carolina's on my mind. I was just there for the weekend. Can't shake the thought. Hurricanes, number 2 option. We got to pick somebody in the West. We have to pick somebody in the West. It's either the Avalanche or the Stars. Oh, Canada, great. Winnipeg, no. Vancouver, no. Golden Knights getting back, no. It's Avalanche or Stars. I'm going to let you decide of the Western Conference teams. Which one do you like?
Thanks. Because I had Florida and Carolina, too. I was counting on you to pick the Western Conference team.
What?
I can give you Florida and Carolina. I had those bullseye, exactly.
We didn't even talk about this.
I want to say Colorado, but, man, they give up so many goals, Dave, right? I mean, I really don't know. Do I trust their defense and their goaltending?
Do we use 3 teams from the East? Do we use the Rangers? And just try to surround it?
Black cloud on the Rangers, and just get one out of the bunch. We picked 3. We got to increase our chances of getting a cup final, right?
I mean, you nailed it with the team that never wins to put in it is the Maple Leafs. That's easy. That's a no-brainer. Do you want to go deeper on the list and put the Lightning in there?
If you want to worry about the odds, Vasilevsky, one crack at glory here. It's up to 33-1 for some reason. That was 25-1 just a couple days ago. I mean, can't go wrong, right? As far as teams that are just kind of poo-poo in the regular season, kind of like the NBA, and all right, you know what? We'll get through the postseason. They would be the one, right? Tampa Bay with all the pedigree, all the Stanley Cups. I could see them just not really caring about the regular season, but come postseason, okay. So they did give Florida, right, a run for their money last year, too.
Yeah.
But you want to go 3? I'm okay with Tampa Bay. Do you want to go 3 in the East?
That's fine, but I think we got to pick a Western Conference team. If we got to pick one, just pick the Stars and live with the result. I think that's the one because Colorado, just that question mark at goal, and we get a little better odds.
Yeah.
Now the hard one. This is the hardest one.
Well, it's the easiest one for me.
Is it?
NBA. Yeah. For me, I mean, it's got to be chalk, but I mean, Boston, Denver,
and
I would say the Bucks, believe it or not. But what do you think?
Well, I mean, if you pick 2 teams in the Eastern Conference, if you don't pick Boston and Milwaukee, then you're not trying. That's the Eastern Conference Finals. So you pick both of them. You're picking Denver, huh? You just so that's chalk. I mean, that's easy.
I know.
All right.
I know.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Listen, that's
you
the way
want
a
to
lot
put
of
a
these
flyer on somebody?
Go. No.
Listen, the Celtics always find ways to lose. You want to tell me don't put the Celtics in there? You wouldn't, to win the championship. I can see it.
No, I don't want to do that right now. I don't want to jinx that. No, I think that's the Eastern Conference Finals matchup. I've been asking for a month. Who is the team that's going to play in the Western Conference Finals with the Nuggets? That's who we pick. If you think it's going to be OKC, do you think it's going to be Minnesota? Do you think it's going to be the Clippers? I think that's the team who we pick. We take our shot with that because we get an injury.
I was going to say Phoenix.
What? Really?
Well, listen, look at it this way. I like OKC and Minnesota, right? But we're talking, is OKC really going from not even making the playoffs last year to winning the championship? It's not happening. Minnesota's too stupid to win a championship, so that they're not happening. So it's either, they're taking 2-point shots down 3 with a second left. I mean, I can't put American money on that.
You're still mad about it.
Yeah, I'm still just, I won't let that go. And then the guy forgets to be there for the start of the game. He was too preoccupied. Clippers or Suns? Clippers or Suns, I would think.
I just watched the Clippers take the lead. It's 111-109, 2.5 minutes to go in Houston. They haven't been winning this game at all. They just took the lead. If this team really figures out how to go down in crunch time and win these games at the end of the games, it got to be the Clippers.
Can they beat Denver?
They could.
You want to put 2 Western Conference teams or 2 Eastern Conference teams?
Well, I think we lock it up if we put the Eastern Conference teams, don't we? The Knicks aren't beating them. The Sixers aren't beating them.
Cleveland, yeah.
Cleveland's not beating them.
But we only got 3.
Yeah.
So you want no Denver and the Clippers? Or no Milwaukee?
You can pick Denver. Let's go chalk, and just pick Denver, Boston, and Milwaukee. Done.
Yeah?
Those your 3. Yeah.
All right. We'll finalize when we come back in Game 5.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
this
is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
Third,
this is the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
Be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time here. So, to wrap it up, we got our 3-team, 3-league parlay, which Arizona, North Carolina, Connecticut in college basketball, Florida, Carolina, Dallas Stars in the NHL, Milwaukee, Celtics, and Nuggets in the NBA. If we do just the average, Dave, so we'll take out the highest paid North Carolina and the lowest Connecticut. And then we take out the highest paid, which is Dallas, and then the lowest is Florida. Those are all pretty similar. And we take out the lowest, which is Boston, and the highest is Milwaukee. So just on average, if you did those 3 teams, it's going to pay, where is it? My thing froze. It's about 400 to 1.
Just
we figured it out, right?
Yeah. And then you involve
Back
the
to
ones
the
with
best
North
slip.
Carolina, and it's going to be probably close to 1,000 to 1. It's gives you all kinds of options. You're getting very creative with this. I like this. We'll continue to talk about this next week, and we've got your other little thing that I really like, the teams that just never win parlay. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll do that next week.
Yeah, we'll do that next
Try to
week.
figure
What
out
about
the
tonight?
exact number.
As we part ways, what are we looking at on the way out? Because I wore the Ducks stuff for a reason, but I'll let you go first. You got anything on the way out for the train ride home?
All right. By the way, 3-leg parlay with the average 675 to 1. A $10 bet will net you $6,750. Yes. Next week we'll do the ones you can't win. No way we can win. Those will really be high. I like to give it the over Kentucky. 45-40 Kentucky lead that to half. This thing's going to go to 200 points. Give me the over Kentucky no matter what it is. What about you?
Ducks fly together. The flying V. All right. Come
right.
The game goes over. All right. Mighty Ducks. What we're doing. How can Ottawa be favored that big on the road? We'll find out.
Yeah. Can't pick. Good job, Dave. We'll talk to you next week. Dave will be back
Yes, sir.
tomorrow.